Confidence is the foundation of attraction. When someone walks into a room with certainty in who they are, they naturally draw attention. Confidence is an energy, a presence that signals strength, independence, and self-respect. It's not about arrogance or trying to prove anything. It's about knowing your value without seeking external validation. Neediness, on the other hand, creates the opposite effect. It sends a signal of insecurity, a sense of lacking, a craving for approval. When a person constantly seeks reassurance, over-explains, or clings to someone else's presence, it creates pressure. Instead of drawing people in, it subtly pushes them away. People are naturally attracted to those who are comfortable in their own skin, those who don't feel the need to beg for attention or prove their worth. Confidence is rooted in self-sufficiency. It means being fulfilled within yourself, not relying on someone else to complete you. It's about having your own passions, goals, and purpose that give your life meaning beyond a relationship. When someone is confident, they are secure in what they bring to the table. They don't chase, they don't overextend, and they don't compromise their values for the sake of approval. This is what makes them magnetic. Neediness, however, often stems from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear of rejection. It creates an emotional dependency that can feel overwhelming. Instead of being a source of inspiration, it becomes a burden. People don't want to feel responsible for someone else's happiness. They want to be around someone who adds value to their life without demanding constant reassurance. Confidence offers freedom while neediness restricts. One draws people closer, the other drives them away. You said, ChatGPT said, detachment signals high self-worth and emotional stability. When a woman is emotionally secure, she doesn't seek validation or chase affection. She understands her value and operates from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. This self-assurance is deeply attractive because it shows that she is whole on her own. She doesn't need constant reassurance, nor does she rely on external factors to define her worth. Instead, she remains steady, knowing that love and connection should enhance her life, not complete it. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude this level of certainty. It creates a dynamic where respect and admiration flourish because she isn't easily swayed by external circumstances. She doesn't react impulsively to every shift in attention, nor does she feel the urge to prove herself. Her emotions remain balanced, making her presence feel grounding rather than overwhelming. This emotional stability creates a safe space where connection can grow organically rather than being forced or demanded. On the other hand, emotional instability often leads to behaviors that repel rather than attract. If someone is overly reactive, anxious, or desperate for attention, it signals uncertainty within themselves. This can create an exhausting cycle where their happiness depends on another person's validation. A woman who possesses high self-worth, however, doesn't allow external situations to dictate her emotions. She knows that whether someone stays or leaves, her value remains unchanged. When a woman detaches from the need for constant validation, she naturally stands out. She isn't indifferent, but she isn't desperate either. This balance is rare, and that's what makes it powerful. It's not about playing games. It's about embodying a level of self-respect that invites admiration and deep attraction without effort. You said, 3. ChatGPT said, men respect women who set boundaries effortlessly. Boundaries are a direct reflection of self-worth. When a woman establishes clear limits on what she will and won't tolerate, she communicates that she values herself. She doesn't allow mistreatment, inconsistency, or emotional manipulation because she understands that respect is a requirement, not a request. This quiet confidence is magnetic because it shows that she isn't afraid to walk away from situations that don't align with her standards. A woman with strong boundaries doesn't seek validation by overextending herself. She doesn't overgive in hopes of being chosen, nor does she tolerate behaviors that make her feel undervalued. Instead, she moves with certainty, making it clear that access to her time, energy, and presence is a privilege, not a right. Men take notice of this. They recognize the difference between someone who will settle for anything and someone who expects a higher standard. This distinction commands respect. On the other hand, a lack of boundaries leads to resentment, exhaustion, and a loss of attraction. When a woman constantly accommodates, says yes when she wants to say no, or accepts half-hearted efforts, she signals that she is willing to sacrifice her needs for approval. This dynamic eventually creates frustration because overinvestment is rarely met with equal appreciation. People value what they have to earn, and when everything is given freely without limits, it often goes unappreciated. Setting boundaries isn't about being rigid or unapproachable. It's about self-respect. A woman who understands her worth doesn't need to demand respect. She naturally commands it. She teaches others how to treat her by what she allows, what she stops, and what she walks away from. This quiet strength creates a deep, lasting sense of admiration and attraction. You said, ChatGPT said, scarcity creates value. People want what they can't easily have. This is a fundamental truth in human psychology. When something is rare, exclusive, or not readily available, it naturally becomes more desirable. The same principle applies to attraction. When a woman makes herself too accessible, always available, or overly eager, she unconsciously lowers her perceived value. On the other hand, when she holds back, focuses on her own life, and doesn't center everything around a man, she becomes intriguing. Men are wired to pursue. The excitement of earning someone's time and attention is what makes it meaningful. When a woman gives too much too soon, whether it's her time, emotions, or energy, she removes the sense of challenge. The interaction becomes predictable, and predictability often leads to complacency. But when she maintains a level of mystery, when her presence isn't guaranteed, she naturally becomes more captivating. Scarcity isn't about manipulation or playing games, it's about genuine self-prioritization. A woman who is deeply engaged in her own growth, passions, and well-being doesn't have time to be overly available. She naturally creates an air of exclusivity because her world doesn't revolve around winning someone's approval. This lack of neediness makes her presence feel like a privilege rather than an expectation. The concept of scarcity doesn't mean withholding affection or being distant. It means having a life so fulfilling that people must put in effort to be part of it. It means knowing that your time is valuable and offering it only to those who earn it. When a woman embodies this mindset, she doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't convince, she inspires. And in doing so, she becomes the kind of person who is not only wanted, but deeply valued. You said, emotional independence is more attractive than dependence. When a woman is emotionally independent, she doesn't rely on a man to make her happy, boost her confidence, or define her worth. She finds fulfillment within herself, creating a sense of inner peace that others naturally gravitate toward. Her happiness isn't dependent on external factors, which makes her presence refreshing rather than overwhelming. Men are drawn to women who can stand on their own emotionally. This doesn't mean they don't appreciate affection or support. It means they respect a woman who doesn't make them the center of her world. When a woman is secure within herself, she brings a calm and stable energy into any relationship. She doesn't seek constant reassurance, doesn't overreact to small things, and doesn't let her emotions be dictated by someone else's actions. This level of balance creates an environment where genuine connection can thrive. On the other hand, emotional dependence can create strain. If a woman needs constant validation, overanalyzes every interaction, or becomes anxious when she doesn't receive immediate attention, it signals insecurity. This pressure can feel suffocating rather than inviting. Instead of fostering attraction, it often leads to emotional exhaustion for both people involved. True attraction is built on the energy you bring into a relationship. A woman who is emotionally independent adds to a man's life without demanding that he complete hers. She enjoys his company but doesn't need it to feel whole. She gives love freely but doesn't expect someone else to manage her emotions. This self-sufficiency makes her presence feel like a choice, not an obligation. It creates space for healthy desire, respect, and admiration. Because nothing is more attractive than a woman who is truly at peace with herself. Chasing repels, self-assurance magnetizes. When a woman chases a man, whether through constant texting, over-explaining her worth, or always initiating contact, she unintentionally shifts the dynamic. Instead of being pursued, she becomes the pursuer. This imbalance can create a sense of pressure, making her seem too available, too eager, or even desperate. Attraction isn't built through pursuit, it's built through presence, energy, and confidence. Men are naturally drawn to what feels valuable and slightly out of reach. When something is easily obtained without effort, it's often taken for granted. But when a woman carries herself with self-assurance, when she doesn't seek validation or overextend herself, she naturally creates an air of intrigue. Her time and attention become meaningful because they aren't given away freely. Chasing often comes from a place of fear, the fear of losing interest, the fear of not being enough, the fear of rejection. But real attraction isn't based on convincing someone to choose you. It's about being someone worth choosing. When a woman knows her worth, she doesn't feel the need to prove it. She moves with quiet confidence, allowing things to unfold naturally rather than forcing them. This doesn't mean playing games or withholding affection. It means knowing that the right person will recognize her value without constant reminders. She doesn't beg for attention, she doesn't seek approval, and she doesn't adjust her standards to fit someone else's expectations. Instead, she remains grounded in who she is, allowing the right connections to flow toward her effortlessly. When a woman embraces this mindset, she stops chasing, and as a result, she becomes the one who is pursued. Detachment isn't coldness, it's self-respect. Many people mistake detachment for indifference, but they are not the same. Indifference is rooted in apathy, a lack of care, while true detachment is grounded in confidence and self-worth. It means knowing when to step back, when to let go, and when to prioritize yourself instead of clinging to something that doesn't serve you. Men are drawn to women who embody this quiet strength. A woman who is detached in a healthy way doesn't react emotionally to every shift in attention. She doesn't panic if a man pulls away, nor does she feel the need to control or chase. Instead, she remains composed, knowing that if something is meant for her, it will stay. If not, she is perfectly capable of walking away without resentment or regret. This kind of emotional control is incredibly attractive because it signals stability, security, and self-respect. Detachment is about maintaining inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. When a woman is too emotionally invested too soon, she may lose herself in the process, making her happiness entirely dependent on another person. But when she practices detachment, she remains in control of her emotions, ensuring that she never sacrifices her own well-being for the sake of keeping someone around. This mindset shifts the dynamic in relationships. Instead of feeling desperate for someone's attention, she becomes someone who naturally commands it. Instead of needing validation, she already knows her worth. This doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she cares about herself first, and in doing so, she creates an energy that men find both intriguing and irresistible. Women who prioritize their own happiness are naturally alluring. When a woman builds a life filled with passion, purpose, and fulfillment, she radiates an energy that draws people in. She isn't waiting for someone to bring her happiness. She creates it for herself. This self-sufficiency makes her presence uplifting rather than draining, and men find that kind of energy irresistible. Happiness isn't something that can be outsourced. When a woman places her joy in someone else's hands, she becomes dependent on external circumstances to feel complete. This creates an unbalanced dynamic where she looks to a man to fill an emotional void that only she can truly fill. But when she cultivates joy on her own, through personal growth, friendships, hobbies, and self-care, she brings something valuable to the table. She becomes someone people want to be around because she adds to their life instead of taking from it. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude positivity and confidence. A woman who prioritizes her own well-being isn't easily shaken by temporary setbacks. She doesn't let a delayed text, a canceled plan, or someone's inconsistent behavior disrupt her peace. She remains secure because her happiness isn't dependent on external validation. This independence creates a magnetic pull. When a woman enjoys her life, follows her passions, and embraces her individuality, she stands out. She doesn't need to prove her worth because it's evident in the way she carries herself. She becomes a source of inspiration, someone who invites admiration rather than seeking it. And that kind of energy is what keeps men intrigued and deeply connected. Mystery is powerful. Overexposure weakens attraction. When a woman reveals everything about herself too quickly, she removes the element of curiosity. Attraction thrives in the space between knowing and wanting to know more. Men are naturally drawn to what feels intriguing, what unfolds gradually rather than all at once. When a woman holds back just enough, sharing herself in layers instead of all at once, she maintains an air of mystery that keeps interest alive. Overexposure happens when a woman feels the need to constantly explain herself, prove her worth, or seek validation through excessive sharing. This can come across as oversharing personal details too soon, always being available, or making her entire world revolve around someone else. Instead of building intrigue, it can create a sense of predictability that dulls the excitement of discovery. Mystery isn't about being distant or playing mind games, it's about maintaining individuality. A woman with a life of her own, interests she pursues, and experiences she doesn't feel the need to broadcast all at once, naturally keeps people wanting to know more. She doesn't rush to fill silences, she doesn't over-explain her actions, and she doesn't feel the need to seek approval at every turn. This quiet confidence makes her presence more captivating. Men are drawn to what feels special, what has depth beyond the surface. When a woman remains slightly unpredictable, when she allows a relationship to unfold naturally rather than forcing it, she becomes more alluring. Attraction isn't just about physical presence, it's about emotional intrigue. And the less a woman gives away too soon, the more room she leaves for genuine curiosity and lasting connection to grow.